So in many ways, you could say that we're the Dow for the U.S. financial markets, in that we're owned by those parties. We are perhaps arguably the most important SIPMU, systemically important financial market utility, basically the infrastructure on which all other institutions conduct their trades. And the expectation is enormous.
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. This is going to be one of those video breakdowns that you do not want to miss. We have politicians like Eric Trump screaming buy the dip, and we also have globally systemic organizations telling you guys straight to your face via public announcements that we are on the tipping point of mass institutional adoption in the digital asset ecosystem, where trillions of dollars are going to flood on chain. With that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video breakdown. I might break this into 2 parts, back-to-back video uploads. If you guys enjoy these types of deep research dives, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. With that being said, let's dive into today's videos. So I want to kick it off here with a post that I made on X that has gotten a ton of impressions, and it is a video breakdown of Sandy Call, whom we're going to get into her credentials in just 1 second, and why you should be listening to this individual, why we pay attention to individuals like this here at CYPRX. But I want you guys to just take a second and listen to what she says. This post got over 86,000 impressions, and I said here, listen very close. Massive reallocation of all the money. This is coming straight from a representative from Franklin Templeton. Everything is moving on chain. This is not the time to be fearful. So take a second and listen to this lady on stage from a recent event that happened just a few weeks ago.
Look, I think that we are going to see a massive relocation of the industry infrastructure, right? And it's going to happen so much faster than people anticipate. We like to say at Franklin Templeton, we're going to see more progress in the next 5 years than we've seen in the last 50. And that's simply because it is a superior set of rails, right? It offers you the ability to move away from this session-based 9 to 4, Monday through Friday activity to global 24/7, right? It allows you to move away from even an enhanced T+1 settlement cycle to atomic settlement, where assets and securities and assets and payments are exchanged instantaneously. It allows us to get rid of intermediaries that are toll takers and gatekeepers that add cost and fees. And it's going to allow us to reduce the amounts of collateral that we have to post to operate the system. Those are all compelling reasons. But the most compelling is going to be that the money is moving out of the traditional rails, right? The money that's coming out in stablecoins is very rarely going back into the banks when it comes off chain. People are leaving money in these wallets. It's becoming a parallel economy. And we're going to see our entire set of financial services migrate onto this parallel set. In a sense, it's like what we saw with ETFs. To go back to the point you were making, is that like once it starts happening, it doesn't stop happening and it keeps spreading. And we've kind of passed that point of no return. So I think we are at the beginning of the migration. And I think that because these technologies are open source and easy to get to, it's going to happen a lot faster than anyone in the industry anticipates.
We are at the very beginning of the building out of this parallel economy, where all of the traditional financial money is about to move over to this new set of rails. This is not coming from me. This is coming from someone with systemically important credentials. So who is this individual, and why are we even going to listen to her? Well, let's just take a look at her LinkedIn profile so you guys can see for yourselves. This is Sandy Cole. Hopefully I'm saying her name correctly. And you can see right down here, just taking a look at her experience. First off, right now, she is the current executive vice president and head of innovation at Franklin Templeton. She is also a current board member of the Digital Asset Advisory Board at the World Economic Forum. She is also a co-chair and digital assets subcommittee for the CFTC as of time of recording this video breakdown. And she is an active member of the Digital Asset Advisory Board for the DTCC. Now, for those of you individuals who do not know who the DTCC is, or the World Economic Forum, or the CFTC, let's just focus on the DTCC. Again, Sandy Cole, an active representative and board member of the Digital Asset Advisory Board for the DTCC. Well, let's just listen to Dan Donnie from the DTCC, the current managing director of the DTCC, so that way you guys get a gist of how important this organization is. Take a second here and listen.
That model and that responsibility of a couple other simple things about DTCC. We are a private company owned by the financial market institutions. So all the big players have a stake in DTCC. So in many ways, you could say that we're the Dow for the US financial markets in that we're owned by those parties. We are perhaps arguably the most important SIPMU, systemically important financial market utility, basically the infrastructure on which all other institutions conduct their trades, basically the infrastructure on which all other institutions conduct their trades.
Dan Donnie, again, the current managing director of the DTCC, just pretty much said that they're the most important globally systemic organization. Okay. So that is why we're listening to individuals like Sandy Cole. And so in today's video breakdown, I want to share this podcast from the London FinTech podcast. Shout out to them. That was posted on August 13th, 2025. So as of time of recording, this podcast is only a few days old. And this podcast involves Sandy Cole and this gentleman here. And I want to share 4 video clips from this interview where Sandy Cole honestly goes on to say some mind-blowing information. First off, she goes on to talk about how we are at a tipping point and how we are currently in this transition of the building out of the new financial rails that are going to completely run and manage the whole entire new financial system over the next 50 years. And that is what we're currently living through. And then it's going to happen a lot faster than most people think. Take a second here and listen to some of these video clips, and I'll briefly communicate with you guys in between them. Take a second here and listen.
Yeah, so this is just an incredibly important, I think, tipping point moment for where we are. If you think about it, Tony, the financial market infrastructure that the entire global set of capital markets and payment rails run on was really devised back in the 70s. It came after the paper crisis in the 60s. They looked at the brand new emerging technology of the time, which was computers, and they redesigned the system. They immobilized and they dematerialized securities. They put into place these very important clearing processes where you had clearing organizations acting as the buyer to sell every seller and seller to every buyer to centralize that function. And they came up with this whole approach of book order entry where you settled firm to firm and then each firm had their own client records. And this has been the way we've run the financial ecosystem for the last 50 years plus. What we're seeing now is the first time that the next 50 years infrastructure is starting to come into focus. And we're really beginning the transition and we're beginning the migration. And it's not going to happen in 1 year or 2 years, but it's going to happen much more quickly, I think, than people anticipate. And it's going to feature the decentralization of the system we just centralized. So for the last 50 years, you can think of that as centralized financial market infrastructure. And now we're going to move increasingly to decentralized financial market infrastructure. And it's going to be, I think, a very exciting and important change. And it's going to really open up and democratize access to the financial markets, I think, for everyone in the world.
And it's another example.
So she just openly admitted, again, a representative from the World Economic Forum, from the DTCC, from Franklin Templeton, like from the CFTC, like this lady has so many valid credentials, and she just openly admitted to you guys that we are moving from the centralized infrastructure to a decentralized infrastructure, and we are now at that tipping point. Anybody at this current moment in time that is denying this transformation is ignoring this transformational shift and is going to miss out on the biggest wealth transfer of our lifetimes. Now, another thing that she goes on to talk about is what people need to wrap their mind around and how we are going from this account-based system to this wallet-based system where individuals are going to be able to earn, stack rewards, have their assets all in their portfolio, have digital credentials, digital ID, all in their wallets directly on their mobile device. Take a second here and listen, and this just will open your mind as to what you guys should start to learn and pay attention to, which is exactly word for word what she says and describes here, what we discuss and talk about in the Wealth 28 Club. Take a second here and listen.
But I think underlying it all, right? So just to kind of go back to simple framing, right? Underlying it all is a really foundational change that people need to wrap their minds around. And that is, for the last 50 years, we have been having an account-driven system. So you and I, we probably have a checking account, a savings account, a brokerage account, a retirement account, maybe an investing account around that. We have lots of different accounts. We're moving away from the account-based world to a wallet-based world, where we're going to have one wallet. That wallet is going to be able to contain all of our assets. It's going to contain the digital forms of money that we spend. It's going to contain the digital investments that we hold. It's going to hold our digital identity documents. It's going to hold digital copies of the titles to the insurance policies and assets we own, right? It's going to really be the foundational piece of financial architecture for our lives. And all those things you mentioned, right?
So I just wanted you all to hear that directly from this lady. And the crazy part is so many people are still denying this transformative shift. They're still denying decentralized finance. They're still denying learning about DeFi. They still think DeFi is some scam and that they shouldn't download a wallet and start to play around with it, throw some test amounts of money in there just to get comfortable with the user interface and all these things, when in reality, that is exactly what you should be doing. That's what your friends, your family members, your aunt, your uncle, all the people that are naysayers about the crypto ecosystem should be doing right now. Not financial advice. Don't take that from me. Take that directly from Sandy Kuo, who goes on to talk about how this is not for crypto bros like the mainstream media makes it out to be. This is not some speculative asset class anymore. We are now seeing serious industry-leading experts and market participants with billions, if not trillions of dollars of assets under management starting to migrate and come on chain, and they're 110% interested in decentralized finance. Take a second here and listen to Sandy confirm that this is not just for crypto bros, this is for everyone.
So who is this all for? So, we're all familiar with the meme coin and the crypto bro and the Bitcoin sort of community on one level, but the institutions are getting in on this, and then there's corporate treasuries and sort of, so who is this all for? Maybe it's for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's for everyone. I mean, look, the crypto bros, they got there early, right? And what they're doing is very speculative, right? They're trying to find the projects or the blockchains or the applications the protocols that they think are going to be the most successful and kind of ride that wave. With meme coins, it's all about identifying, virality, right? Are you going to be able to hit something that's going to go viral, and then you get in and you get out very quickly? It's a very short-term way of thinking, but it's still the same principles of market value. It just happens in a much shorter time frame. But I think that where this is heading is that this becomes a financial infrastructure for everyone.
So there you have it, an individual representative from the CFTC, the DTCC, the World Economic Forum, and Franklin Templeton just confirmed that crypto is not just for the crypto bros. This is something that is transformative and it is for everybody. So you should be paying attention. The last portion of the first half of today's video breakdown, I want to play this last segment where she goes on to paint a very clear perspective that kind of brings us back into reality, that paints a clear picture on how long this is going to take. Now, she doesn't overextend it, but I like how she doesn't underestimate it either. She puts it right in that sweet spot of taking place over the next 3 to 5 years, which a lot of people don't like to hear because a lot of retail participants don't have patience in this game, but that still puts us in the window of happening before 2030, which is only 5 years away. So again, now is the time to lock in, set yourself realistic expectations, buckle down, do the research on blue chip digital asset projects that are changing the industry landscape, and really focus on the long-term horizon and surviving this digital transformation. Take a second here and listen to what Sandy says.
Sandy, you're very good at telling the future, as we realized, because you've been brave enough to put that in writing and then wait and see what happens 5-10 years later. What are your predictions from here for, obviously for the crypto space and for the sector?
Yeah, I think that this regulation and this rule set that allows us to move on to the new rails is going to happen a lot faster than people anticipate, right? So I used to think it was going to take us probably 5 to 10 years. Given the speed at which I think things are actually moving, I think that 3 to 5 years, we will be hitting that point that we spoke about, Tony, where assets are flowing out of traditional investment products and into these tokenized products at a pace that starts to slow potential capital raising in traditional products. And so I think that this is going to be a real race over the next 5 years. Firms that today have not begun to think about a wallet-based strategy and tokenized products are going to have to play catch up very rapidly. And I think firms like ours, where we're advanced in building these new infrastructures and operating in these new environments, will see a tremendous advantage in our capital raising as this transition starts to take place.
Yeah, and how quickly? So in the AI space, I'm hearing that the model capabilities are doubling every 4 months, and that may or may not be the case. But the ability of the institutions to sort of double their capability to adopt and integrate is more like couple of years. And there's some rule of thumb out there that it's roughly a sort of 18-month innovation cycle, sort of try, fail, learn, go again. And you need to do that to bring the organization up to a capability level to really be able to adopt the new technology. Do those models sort of play into the crypto space as well? And does that mean that major firms, is it this year? They've got to be building stuff, or have they got a little bit of time to think about it?
Well, I think you're going to see more and more firms announcing they are thinking about it, and they are starting to either build stuff or create partnerships. Like, I think that the sense of urgency is beginning to rise. My guess is that maybe the top 20% of market leaders are already thinking or planning. I think by this time next year, that's going to be the top half, 50%. And within 2 years, the bottom half are going to start to be panicking and trying to play catch up as fast as they can. I think it's going to happen very, very quickly.
That is, in this sector, that is fast.
So there you heard it directly from Franklin Templeton when asked the question, do you think that firms, do they need to start building in the next year? Absolutely. And if they're not, they're going to have to play catch up. So think about that in terms of a retail perspective, especially getting in after the financial institutions. I could not imagine what that landscape looks like. There are going to be so many people that get priced out of this wealth transformation in this crypto ecosystem because, again, they're not paying attention to the long-term horizon. When I say long-term horizon, I'm talking about Sandy's projection here of the next 3 to 5 years. Now, I hope that it happens before then, just like you watching this video breakdown. I've been hodling in this digital asset ecosystem and accumulating bags for quite some time, since 2016. But do I have realistic expectations, and do I understand that this could take some more time? Absolutely. And if it does, then that just gives us more time to accumulate blue chip digital assets for when things really do hit the fan. So I will end you all here for the first half of today's video breakdown before we roll into the second portion with this motivational post where I said, you are not a victim of circumstance. You are a co-creator of reality. Most people forget that they have the energetic power to ask the universe for change, then build the version of themselves that can receive it. This is not fantasy. It is frequency. You are not here to merely survive. You are here to design, evolve, and lead. And at CYPRX, we believe that wealth creation starts with the personal transformation, because it does. Your energy, your mindset, your strategy, when aligned, they turn your potential into power. So tap into your birthright, learn the tools, shape your future. You are not powerless. You are the signal, right? So again, tap in. I cannot stress enough that now is the time to start learning about these new technologies, to block out the noise, to start learning about the markets in detail, the macro fundamentals that weigh on crypto prices intraday that allow you to capitalize on those discount opportunities, which is what we're going to talk about in the second portion of today's video breakdown. So with that being said, if you enjoyed today's first portion, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys over in part 2.